Hello there, Father Michael Nasser here with this week's Midweek Reflection. And on my mind this week is a topic that is sort of a hot topic here at our parish of St. Nicholas, and that is the topic of debt. We are in the middle of a drive to actually eliminate our mortgage we've had for 20 years. So it's a big deal for our community. We are getting really close, and hopefully within perhaps a matter of days, we might have a very exciting announcement to share with the community. But debt is a huge weight. It weighs on the community like a church. It weighs us in our families, that so many of us are just debt ridden. You hear that term. We're just saddled with debt. You get the idea of the weight, the oppressive weight of debt. And I'm not even mentioning yet our national debt, which under both Democrats and Republicans recently has been exploding. We have literally a mountain of debt. You've heard that term. We've got a mountain of debt. Well, as a country, we've had a mountain of debt. Our church has had a pretty big mountain of debt, and many of our families have mountains of debts. You know, thankfully, personally, 2020, as tough as a year as it was the year that our family got out from all of our debt except for our mortgage. We've been following the Dave Ramsey plan, and thankfully, this was the year we were able to do it. And now we're attacking the mortgage while we're doing some other things. But debt is heavy. It's the weight of the past that comes to us in the future. So what do we do about it? Well, one way of understanding debt is understanding how God deals with our debt. And there is in the Old Testament this idea of every so often there is a Jubilee year. It's that year of clearing out all the old debts. It's like shake it all off and start over. And we could talk about financial debts. That's heavy enough. But how many of us are saddled with the debt of unforgiveness? You probably remember, have heard the translation of the Lord's Prayer, forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And we look at that as an archaic translation, but in some ways it's really accurate. Because when we don't forgive someone, we have a weight on our shoulders of the debt they owe us. And even though they're the ones owing, we're carrying the debt. And so what does Jesus encourage us to do? He invites us to rid ourselves of the debt that we carry that other people owe us. In other words, write off their debt. And how do we do that? We do it because he's written off our debt. And so having received the grace of his forgiveness, his writing off of our debts, we turn to others and we write off theirs. Why? Because they earn it? Because they ask us really nicely? No. Simply because we choose to. Nice when we can resolve the problems of the past, but whether somebody deserves it or not, asks it or not, we can unburden ourselves of debt, even debt owed to us, by just wiping it out and saying, you no longer owe me anything. The freedom of that debt being forgiven is such an incredible thing. We can experience it every day. Hopefully we do. Hopefully every day we go to God and we ask for his forgiveness, and we experience and receive the grace of that forgiveness. He wipes out our debt. And then as we pray, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us, or forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors, we take that same grace of having that debt taken off our shoulders, and we take that grace and we share it with the people around us. It's one of the things that we can do to help ourselves in this world so much. There's a lot of things we can't do. One thing that is always within our power is giving the grace of relieving people of the debt they owe us. And why? Because God has forgiven us. So I hope you can work towards a debt-free life, just as we're doing here at our parish. We're working to get debt-free. Who knows when this country will ever become debt-free again, as that mountain of debt keeps growing. Hopefully in our families, we're learning to live within our means and paying off the debt and committing not to go into debt the next time we want something. If you want it, you save for it, you pay cash, you get it. In the same way, in our spiritual lives, we can unburden ourselves of the debts of the past by forgiving those around us, whether or not they deserve it, whether or not they ask it, simply because we have the grace to give it, because God has given us his grace in forgiving us our debts that we owe him. I hope this was helpful. If it was, please share it. with your friends via social media. And God willing, we'll see you in next week's video.